Guys, it's your favorite off-duty whistleblower back on the mic. I'm supposed to be on vacation, but something major just popped off and I had to jump in. You've probably already seen it swirling around, everyone's talking. Nobody's clear, and I know you have questions. So let's break this down. Word on the street is Diddy went straight to both the defense and prosecution and asked them to bring up other cases just like his. And by just like his, he means dudes hit with 1 or 2 Mon Act charges, 0 criminal history. Let that sink in. Now, the Diddy defenders came out swinging. He's walking. No jail time. Y'all really thought he moonwalked through federal court like that? Be serious. Okay, maybe he dodged the RICO bullet and, yeah, that hit hard for a lot of folks. Survivors, women, anybody who stands against abuse. They felt that gut punch, but don't lose focus. There's layers to this, and while Diddy may have dodged one shot, the war ain't over. Let's stay on task because what comes next is where it really gets sticky. Here's what you might have missed. The judge didn't just sit there quietly. Nope, he told the court to pull up similar cases with Mon Act convictions. That means the ones where dudes had no priors but still got caught trafficking. And this kind of ask, it's not random, it's strategic. Usually when a judge wants that info, it's for one of 2 reasons. Either he's prepping to hand down a lighter sentence or he's building a case to make sure Diddy doesn't get one. Either way, this ain't neutral. Now pause. Before you go thinking this is good news for Diddy, remember this is the same judge who ripped him apart in open court, denied bail, called him a danger, straight up set his ties to the community. Actually, make him more of a threat, not less. That's rare. And it tells you where the judge's head is at. He even read victim letters, allowed women saying Diddy used violence as control. Judges hate being made to look like fools, especially by men with money, power, and reach. That's the kind of thing they don't forgive. So yeah, the jury decision may have left us confused, but the judge's tone, it's loud and clear. If Diddy walks with just time served, that's mercy. That's a second chance. But everything about how the judges handled this says otherwise. So what's with the sudden interest in comparable Mon Act cases? Well, according to legal insiders, there are 3 real reasons behind it and not one of them favors Diddy. Let's get into those next. First up, judicial cover. See, the judge might personally believe that giving Diddy parole is risky, but by asking both sides for case comparisons, he gives the illusion of fairness. That's smart. It protects him from being accused of bias when the final sentence drops. If Diddy's team tries to appeal later, the judge can say, I did my homework. I reviewed outcomes for similar Mon Act cases and Diddy's sentence is consistent, it's legal armor. It looks neutral, even if the judge already made up his mind. Another angle, the judge could be testing limits, trying to figure out how far he can push sentencing lenient or harsh without getting overturned on appeal. Maybe he's entertaining the idea of probation on paper, but in reality, he's still leaning toward prison. Unless Diddy's legal team delivers some miracle-level mitigation, it's not happening. And speaking of that, let's talk about Diddy's so-called rebrand. Remember I told y'all they're trying to muzzle the creators still speaking on his criminal past? If they can silence the internet by late summer, bam, they can roll out the Halo campaign. They'll use October to paint Diddy as a misunderstood saint, hoping the judge buys it. But here's the problem there, forgetting the jury didn't see everything. The judge, he's seen it all. He's got access to witness affidavits, sealed statements, and receipts the jury never touched. And he's factoring every last word of it into his decision. So I asked around, is parole really even on the table? And the legal folks I spoke to, they said it's highly unlikely. Not impossible, but very low odds. Why? Because this isn't just a Mon Act case, it's tied to patterned violence. When Judge Aaron denied bail, he didn't just say Diddy was violent. He said Diddy had a history of violence. That matters. Add in the public outrage and media attention. Now the DOJ has to protect its credibility. As Maureen Kami said, these kinds of rulings impact all future victims. A slap on the wrist sends the worst message, so here's my take, and yeah, it's just my personal opinion. I think the judge is doing his homework to legally back the decision he's already made. It feels like he's locking in the facts so that whatever sentence he hands down sticks. If Diddy doesn't come up with some courtroom miracle, he's not skating out on parole. This isn't about mercy, it's about optics, precedent, and legal backup. The judge isn't trying to save Diddy. He's trying to make sure Diddy's sentence can't be undone. And you know how I know that? It's the language. Judges don't play with words. The moment he called Diddy a batterer, that's not shade. That's legal. That's coded language in law that implies repeated violence. It slams the door on leniency. That kind of label. It's used to justify prison time, not forgiveness. Diddy isn't being painted as a man who made a mistake. He's being framed as a predator with a pattern. And judges don't just undo those kinds of rulings without blowback. This wasn't some one-time oops moment. The judge is treating the allegations against Diddy as credible, possibly even established facts for sentencing purposes. That alone destroys any claim that his violent behavior was a misunderstanding or a provoked one-off. Judges don't just casually drop the word batterer unless they plan for it to live permanently on the legal record. And it gets worse. He even told Diddy's lawyers, "Your client admitted he's violent and enrolled in a batterers program preemptively." That right there is huge. Because judges don't see early rehab efforts as redemption, they see it as damage control. If Diddy really believed he was innocent, why rush to join a program for abusers before sentencing? It shows consciousness of guilt. The man knew trouble was coming, and if the judge interprets that enrollment as a real admission, not just PR fluff, that alone justifies putting him behind bars instead of cutting him a community supervision deal. It's self-incrimination and legal drag. And we're not done. The judge also said Diddy's violence happened suddenly, quickly, and without warning. That isn't just colorful language, that's a judicial finding of dangerousness. It means the court believes he doesn't control his violence, that it escalates fast, that it's unpredictable. When a judge uses those terms, it's usually to justify locking someone up, especially when ruling on bail or sentencing. It suggests that even if Diddy seems calm now, he could snap without warning. That's a risk the court won't take. Now tell me, does this sound like a judge prepping for a parole party? Be serious. Even I'm nervous for the Diddy stands. What are they going to do? Form a prayer circle outside the jail. Blast, "I'll be missing you" from a boombox and hope it changes the court's mind. Let's be real, this judge isn't playing. If anything, he's laying down a record that says, money can't save you. Influence doesn't matter. When you're violent, you're a threat, period. That record makes it nearly impossible to spin leniency later. Diddy tried to play chess. The judge saw through it. He tried to enroll in programs, admit guilt just enough to look soft, and wiggle out with privilege, but the judge isn't biting. He sees this as someone who can't safely exist in society, someone who abused power and now wants pity. These statements aren't just harsh, they're strategic. If Diddy reoffends or contacts a victim post, the blame falls squarely on the court. That's a legal and political landmine. No judge wants to own that headline. This isn't about mercy, it's about locking in a permanent narrative. The judge is laying down legal groundwork that frames Diddy as violent, manipulative, and dangerous. That's intentional. Every phrase, every quote, can now be cited in future hearings to block parole, deny probation, or support a long-term sentence. So unless there's some major game-changing twist, we're watching the system quietly build the case for a multi-year prison stay, or, at the very least, a tight leash under strict monitoring. And let's be real, judges don't write full sentencing blueprints just for fun. They don't make statements like this unless they're preparing to use them. It's hard to believe Diddy's walking free after all this groundwork. The tone of the court is clear. This is not a man they're planning to cut loose. So will Diddy reoffend if given the chance? Personally, I think so. But maybe, just maybe, in the warm, protective arms of his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, he'll find redemption. Mark's definitely trying to save his soul. But who knows? Maybe this legal bromance ends in a spiritual awakening. Or maybe we're just watching an expensive PR arc in slow motion. Either way, the facts don't lie. The court sees Diddy as dangerous. His own admissions, his early enrollment in batterer rehab, the judge's blunt language, it's all evidence. So whether or not he changes doesn't even matter right now. The system is preparing to hold him accountable, no matter how well his lawyer hugs it out in court. Anyway, I'll leave y'all with that. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know this case is heating up and I want to hear what y'all think. Do you believe he'll do real time? Do you think this judge is just posturing? Or is this the first time we've seen true accountability for someone with this much power? Let me know what you think. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Out.